Well, it's time to give the reins again of supreme power to some lucky person. And barring certain restrictions, we've given that power to Brockus, also known as the Orc Fugitive. Or what are you going by these days, Brockus?
Well, right now I'm still Brockus Fury, but my Twitter account says Orc Fugitive because of something that happened not too long ago.
Oh, and now you're a fugitive. Excellent.
Yeah,
Well,
pretty
here are
much.
the basic ground rules. Number one is you can't violate any laws of physics or reality, including creating more resources than are available.
Mhm.
Two, no one on our hypothetical Earth knows that you're the king, so you don't need to fear retaliation for your decisions.
Cool,
And
cool.
number three, you are not bound by any law, moral code, standards, or practices because you make them. So we're going to give the floor to you for about 30 minutes. We might interject a little bit here and there. But tell us about your world, and then we'll start tearing into it and building it up at the end.
All right. Now I watched the first episode of this. I watched what Sofan wanted, and I love Sofan to death, but no. He wants to inevitably get to the Star Trek socialist future, and I have to tell everyone this, including Sofane, that is a near impossible future. We can't even agree on religion. So what makes you think we're going to agree on politics like that? That is a vastly far distant future pipe dream that I don't think will ever actually come true just because of how fucking stupid human beings are. Um, it's a wonderful dream though. Don't get me wrong. I think it actually some of the things that he actually wanted, the things that would help, like the holodeck. I actually was on board with that one. I was just like, you know what? I kind of want that to happen. That would actually make a lot of people fucking happier because they wouldn't have to worry about some stupid shit. Um, but for me, could we get to a happy future? How can we get things back on track? Personally, I think by correcting a lot of wrongs that currently are going on right now. For one, I'm going to abolish every single insurance company in existence. No more insurance.
Wait, you're going for the "I love you" from Dolphin quicker than Sophane, huh?
I guess so. I don't believe in insurance companies because you pay a monthly fee for something to happen maybe
Yeah,
once or twice a year.
it's like gambling in reverse.
Mm-hmm. But the problem with the gambling is you lose all the fucking time.
Yeah, I mean, well, in gambling you want to win, and
Mm-hmm.
in insurance you're gambling, but you kind of want to lose.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is that if people actually look into the insurance companies and a lot of the practices that they've actually made, truthfully speaking, insurance companies are some of the most corrupt companies that actually exist to this day, due to the fact that they will always use some kind of genie fucking logic where, oh, we are willing to cover you on Tuesday, but your accident was on a Wednesday. That kind of shit. You know, it's just fucking ridiculous. I hate insurance companies, so I want to abolish them completely across the board. Even auto insurance, which I think is the only good insurance safety net that we actually do have. But even then, still fucking evil. So get rid of all the insurance across the board. After that, of course, you know, from that point, everybody will have to use fair practices, fair billing, and stuff like that, due to the fact that, well, they no longer have their bullshit safety net to take care of the mess and or sweep problems under the rug. So once I've gotten rid of all the insurance companies, where do I go from there? Well, take out minimum wage. I think minimum wage is more of a hindrance than it actually is an actual aid. I honestly think that minimum wage sucks in general. And I don't like the fact that people are constantly trying to say that burger flippers deserve the same amount of money as construction workers. It's ridiculous. It's nowhere are they even in the same kind of constant danger as a construction worker. Yeah, there are slips and falls, and there's a lot of fast food employees that are probably listening or maybe listen later, and they might get a little upset about that. But let me ask you this. Are you constantly worried of falling off of a 30-foot building? Are you constantly worried about something 50, 60 pounds dropping 120 feet on top of your fucking head? Are you constantly worrying that the dumbass with the fucking nail gun is going to shoot you in the ankle? No? Then you don't deserve the same kind of pay as them. There's a reason why construction workers make so much money. There's a reason why construction workers have things called hazard pay, because they are putting their lives at risk on a fucking level you probably will never understand, because the worst you're going to get is a 3rd-degree burn because you fucking slipped and fell and let the grease fall on your damn ankle, you dumb shit. Not that I'm actually trying to diss anyone in particular. It's just I get very heated when I hear people trying to raise the minimum wage so much, because it's only going to fuck up the economy that much more, in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of economists. So yeah, take out minimum wage. And again, this is where it gets interesting, because if you eliminate minimum wage, if you eliminate that safety net of I'm guaranteed $7.50 an hour, or I'm guaranteed $15 an hour for this 8-hour job, companies will no longer hire people who don't fucking work. They just won't hire the people that don't work, because the people who don't work aren't going to come to work, get their paychecks, because if you're getting paid for the work you do and the people don't work, they're not going to get paid. And the product is going to not get shipped, or the product isn't going to be complete, or whatever the case might actually be. So people that actually want to work, people that want to make a living, will actually thrive and flourish that much better. And they'll be able to actually make a sturdy check. But here's the interesting part. If companies do not pay their employees reasonable amount of money for the work that they do, the employees will walk away, and the company is completely fucking fucked. They will tank faster than a fucking oil rig that just got a hole in the side of its fucking boat. That was a weird way of putting that, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I honestly, I would like to see a world where there's a lot more negotiation between employers and employees. That's a good one. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's basically one that's been bugging the shit out of me for a while too, because I don't typically like politics. I really hate politics, but there are a few things where I have like these questions about it, and I go researching every once in a while. I look up people that might be talking about it, or read a couple of articles, and I get this idea in my head, and I'm just like, yeah, I think this might actually work. And we need to go back to the time when honest pay for honest work. Because dishonest pay for no work, it just pisses everybody off, especially with my actual line of work, the current work that I do. I'm sick and tired of watching these fucking lazy little shitheads who are, barely 2 decades into their lifespan, and they think they could just come to work, slack the fuck off the entire time, talk about the latest Kardashian episode, and fucking, I don't know if that's even actually a thing. I'm just making a reference. People talk about the Kardashians still, and I'm fucking sick of it. But they talk about, whatever the fuck they want, and then they go home. Meanwhile, I'm sweating. I'm sore. I'm injured. I actually did injure myself at work, busting my ass for the company and all that shit. And they're still making the same amount of money as me, even though they're not fucking doing anything. And I'm just mad the entire time. It pisses me off, because it's just like, look, I like to converse when I'm working. I like to chat with people. I like to have fun. I like to be entertained. If I'm going to be at this fucking goddamn warehouse for 10 hours or even 10 plus hours, then I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to find whatever I can to enjoy myself. And you're fucking ruining it by standing there just fucking flirting, you piece of shit. So I don't like that, which is why if you take away the minimum wage and you do the honest pay for honest work thing, you're going to see less and less people doing shit like that. You're going to see more people actually wanting to work, wanting to earn a living, that hunger that Americans once had. You're going to see it rise up again, and we're going to become that much better.
Well, let me ask you this. If that's your goal, then why stop at the minimum wage? Why not go after a lot of the labor laws?
Oh, yeah, that's actually a good question.
For example, Overtime. I'd
Oh,
love to be able to work 50 hours and get a bigger paycheck without my employer going, that extra 10 hours, I have to pay you time and a half. I'd be like, look, we can negotiate that. You don't have to pay me time and a half. I'll just take the extra 10 hours at raw time. But I can't do that. The law won't let me.
yeah, that was actually going to be step number 3. Eliminate bullshit, ridiculous labor laws such as overtime. Look, if you don't want to pay time and a half for the work, that's fine. I've already eliminated fucking minimum wage, so why don't we go ahead and have more negotiation things? If you just want to work, say, 50 hours a week because, I don't know, you got a relatively boring life outside of work, you don't like to go home, nothing really interests you, work is really something you just enjoy doing all the time. So, fuck it. Just work until you feel like going home. After you have, completed the allotted hours that you and the employee have agreed upon. If you want to keep working a few extra hours, fine. And the employer could basically say, I agree to pay you X amount of money for this much extra work. Fine. That's cool. I don't mind that. I actually want to get rid of that kind of a labor law as well. What was the other one I wanted to do? Oh man, shit! I had a list. I actually wrote it down, and then I got the notebook wet, so the pages stuck together, and half the list went away almost immediately. So I'm just mad now.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the construction worker guys. We call them technicians in my field, and their paperwork is always smeared with water.
Fair enough. Well, I actually had written it down, and then I was fucking, I can't remember what the hell I was cleaning exactly, but it was I think I had gotten one of my shoes fucking dirty because I was walking around in the rain and it was super fucking muddy, and the mud apparently kicked up into areas that just couldn't get washed off. So I was just like, fuck it, just manually wash this shit. And next thing I know, the fucking notebook goes sliding into the fucking sink. So I was just like, that's good. Yay for me.
All right, so what about international problems going on in the world? Any ideas there?
I would want to decriminalize a lot of fucking things. Religion being one of them, decriminalize religion. And when I say decriminalize religion, I don't mean like, oh, it's a crime to worship this god in this particular country. Yeah, I definitely want to start making that actually a thing, because again, we can't agree on religion. So we might as well just make it a worldwide thing where anyone can worship whatever fucking god they wish. However, we're going to follow the same rules that is here in America. If it's gonna harm another person, no. That's 100% no. If you think that it's okay to chop a person's head off simply because she forgot to wear her stupid fucking shawl out into public, guess what, motherfucker? You're losing your scimitar and you're getting thrown in jail. I want to.
Are you going to be corporal punishment kind of king?
To be honest, there is a fine line between tyrant and necessary. And that is the unfortunate side that you have to, that is the unfortunate line you will always have to walk when it comes to these types of situations, because some people, as we have seen for many, many years now, some people just will not get in line. Some people will not actually follow suit in what is just provably good, provably the correct way of doing things. So we have war-torn countries. We have horrible governments in power in various different parts of the world and such. And so for at least as whatever time I can, I would sweep the world, eliminating all of this shit. I would basically try to, like, as much as it pains me to say this, but I would try to force the entire world to actually adhere to what America strives to be, what America is. along with what the UK is, along with what Canada is, things of that nature. Basically try to modernize the rest of the world. And again, this sounds tyrannical. This sounds like a fucking dictator who's just trying to do world domination. I'd rather just see the world fucking working together. I'd rather see people be happy. I'd rather hear stories of, so I went over to the Middle East and I had a wonderful time and I met so many great people, instead of, I went over to the Middle East and for the first 20 minutes of my trip, I had a wonderful time. And then this bomb went off and I don't know what the fuck happened. And we panicked and ran. And so these people were shooting at us and I don't know what's going on. I could have swore I heard my dad, which is weird because he's been dead for 15 years. And so we just kept, and then it goes on and on. I don't want to fucking hear about that. I'm tired of hearing about wars across the globe and shit. It's fucked up. But if we essentially sweep across the world and kick its ass, we might be able to actually get it in a better place. But that's just a possibility. That's one possibility. That's one way of doing it. I haven't really thought 100% on every single aspect of what we could do worldwide. I've thought about the things that bug the shit out of me. War-torn countries, the Middle East constantly trying to blow Jerusalem. Well, not Jerusalem, but Israel up. And that's a thing. There are, what is it, 7, 8 countries that surround Israel that are consistently, daily, trying to kill everyone in Israel. And people want to sit there and say, well, Israel had it coming. Fuck you. Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, you know, they build those roads and stuff, and nobody likes a good road.
Sure. Nobody likes a good road except, you know, anyone who owns a vehicle or needs to travel or, you know, things of that nature, I suppose. Roads are dumb, though. Yeah, it's terrible.
Well, I didn't bind you. In fact, that's one of the rules. You're not bound to any morality, so you don't necessarily have to justify what you're doing.
I understand I don't have to justify what I'm doing, but basically, like, my end goal is to try to get the world. I would absolutely love to get to the utopian world that Star Trek has given us. That actually does sound like a very interesting thing. Not having to worry about money, not having to worry about what you can do with your life, not having to worry about your general health, things of that nature. I love that idea. That actually sounds fucking fantastic. That sounds like a world that everyone should be striving to.
Yeah, but we're not like those engineers on Galaxy Quest. We can't just see a thing and be like, oh, that's what it does. And then like 10 minutes later figure out how to make it work. You know?
That's true. That's very true. Also, anytime we bring up squid people, immediately hentai will follow because that's where our fucking brains work.
I did not realize that I was opening that door.
Yeah, no, yeah, say that. And there's probably going to be a few viewers that are just going to be like, well, he did bring up fucking.
He said Galaxy Quest, squid people, hentai. I got to leave the stream for 10 minutes. I'll be right back.
No, okay. I absolutely love Galaxy Quest. It's the best Star Trek that isn't Star Trek.
It is easily one of the top, I'd say, 20 movies of all time.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right. We don't have the type of engineers to just create that kind of technology and stuff. Again, the Star Trek future is basically a pipe dream. A wonderful one, but it's a pipe dream nonetheless. It's something that's going to be very difficult for us to actually achieve, especially now. Even when people reject religion entirely, has no one actually paid attention to what has gone on across the globe? People reject religion, and then they create a new one, and then a new one, and then a new one. And it's not an actual officially recognized sanctioned religion or anything like that, but it's basically an ideology that bears fruit and just sprouts like some kind of tree on crack or something. And then we have these crazy psychotic ideologies that just run rampant all over the fucking world. And it's insane. But that's what I mean when I say we can't even agree on religions, because nowadays we can't even agree what a fucking religion actually is anymore.
I'll definitely agree with you that the dropping off of religious attention across the world over the past, say, 20, 30 years has definitely left a void that's been filled by some crazy stuff.
It is, and it's
Really
because we have yet, as a species, been able to evolve our minds, as a majority at least. We have yet to be able to actually evolve past the absolute need of some sort of structure, some sort of religious order. Why do people still hold on to these archaic beliefs, yet at the same time, they don't follow the actual archaic beliefs? Like, you know, what the Bible once said, if a child misbehaves, stone it. No one does that. I mean, in the Western worlds, I don't know if they do that over in the Middle East. We don't even know if they do that in Japan, to be honest. Like, we like Japan, but at the same time, they might be doing some pretty shady fucking stuff over there that makes us go, wait, what? But we have people that like to follow archaic ideas, archaic beliefs and ideologies and such, but they don't follow every single archaic idea behind it because they realize it's fucked up. Yet these are supposed to be the word of God, or the word of the followers who followed the word of God. So what do you think that is going on there? Well, we haven't evolved past the need for this type of order. Now, if I wanted to, if I could, I would eliminate religion entirely across the entire globe and set everyone's minds right. But that requires a large amount of magic that doesn't fucking exist. So
yeah, rule number one: laws of physics and reality.
basically, it's an impossible fucking feat.
You have any idea how long it would take to implement all those CIA techniques learned in the 60s to mind wipe everyone?
I'm guessing maybe at least 4 decades worth.
Yeah,
of time.
you're king for a day. That's 24 hours. You don't have time to.
Yeah. No, I don't have time to do shit like that. So eliminating religion entirely is just it's an impossible feat. You just have to do what you can to fix the problems we have today, and then move forward with it. So the first couple of moves I would make basically fix a lot of issues that are going on in America. The other problems I would make are going to fix the problems across the globe, like eliminating known dictators and tyrants in every single country across the globe. Basically taking them out and ensuring that there is never going to be a power vacuum there again by putting someone else specifically in power, who then immediately puts into system a more democratic fucking government. Not this, I have all the guns, so I control the country thing. And no form of potential fascism, no form of potential communism, and no form of potential socialism is allowed to take place in any of these things. Why do I say that? Because every single fucking time any of those types of governments has actually gone into power, what has immediately followed? Dictatorship. A tyrant always rises when the people are dumb enough to allow certain things to actually happen. And it's always some asshole who's convinced a fuckload of the military to basically do his bidding because these are trained soldiers who just want to get paid a hefty amount of money. And the soldiers will probably do it because they'll get that hefty amount of money at first. And then the pay will start to get less and less because the dictator will say something along the lines of like, oh, we've had to take this out of your pay because of this reason or that reason. Oh, we didn't actually get that much in this month's taxes. Oh, we didn't actually get that, whatever the case is, because eventually what it works up to is the dictator always takes everything and leaves the people with nothing. So eliminate the possibility for something like that to happen. It's basically what I would immediately do. Outlaw pretty much anything across the world that would bring any kind of harm to the LGBT. No joke. Like, you know, I'm tired of fighting people on the whole trans argument and shit, but at the same time, you know, it would be, you know, beneficial. What they would probably calm them the fuck down if there was no more danger of governments across the globe legally being allowed to just fucking kill a person simply because they have dysphoria or simply because they were born gay, whatever the case is. If you eliminate that, maybe people just stop fucking arguing and complaining so much. Or maybe they still complain, but people just stop listening because they don't fucking care anymore. Because it's been outlawed across the globe. Nowhere in the world will a gay person ever have to fear for fucking their lives because, you know, the dude likes dick or the girl likes veg.
Doesn't that kind of fall into your previous one about no, and actually we were talking about something else. It was if it hurts somebody else, then you can't do it. The answer is no. But you were talking about religion there.
I was specifically talking about religion because basically you can always find a way around some shit like that. You know, because first you have to start with the religion, because you always have to start with the religion. That's the thing that motivates the people. That's the thing that drives the people to do the things they do, to act the way they act. Religion is what tells them how to feel, how to think, how to act and react and things of that nature. So first you have to tackle the religious aspect. You have to basically say, worship whoever and whatever you damn well please. You want to worship Cthulhu? No one's going to stop you. You want to worship Satan? No one's going to stop you. You want to worship some fucking elephant with like 18 arms? No one's going to stop you. Do it as you please. But you're not allowed to use any practice from that fucking religion that will cause harm to another human being. No. Afterwards, then you go for the government laws by basically stating you can't do this no matter what. And if you attempt it, you're going to be in serious fucking trouble. And yeah, I think we would actually implicate the death penalty across the globe too.
I'm a big fan of heads on spikes. I think they make a pretty good statement.
Yeah. I'm a fan of the death penalty only when it is irrefutable that this person has done this horribly monstrous thing. So say you discover that some bastard is a serial pedophile rapist. Oh, his head is going to roll for that. I don't give a fuck what anyone tries to say. Who are you to judge another human and take his life? The motherfucker who's basically now in charge for a day.
We're gonna have to clip that out and make a special ad just for King for a Day and use that soundbite right there.
Yeah, you have my full permission to use that clip.
You're like some epic montage of stuff blowing up. Because I'm king for, I'm sorry, it was beautiful.
I do as I fucking damn well please. All right. But yeah, I would actually implicate the death penalty across the globe. Now, here's the thing, though. It's, you can't just fucking give a person the death penalty simply because they stole bread or because they, maybe they vandalized a car or something like that.
Yeah,
obviously,
cut off their hands or cane them for that, right?
No, you're not allowed to do that shit anymore either. Fucking
man.
What the hell? Trying to bring the rest of the world onto the same level as us, damn you.
I thought you were going medieval with the punishments, though, man. I was on board.
No, I'm not going to go full medieval on the punishments as much as I would love to. And maybe, you know what, for the first few hours, I probably will, because it's that extreme realization to the rest of the world. Oh, these guys aren't fucking around. Okay, get in line, everyone. Get in line. You do not want to be that guy whose head's on a spike. That's not a good thing. That's also his cousin who didn't want to listen. That's his mother who didn't want to listen. They got the family dog. Oh, man. Get the fucking line.
Oh, no animals were harmed in the making of this live stream.
No animals were harmed in a lot of things, but I don't know. The making of this stream, maybe we might have scared the shit out of some animals. Who knows?
Well, I mean, some people actually like caning, so yeah.
Okay, you know what? Those people are fine to do as they please. Like if you believe BDSM is your religion and all that stuff, and it brings harm to another person, look, we all understand that's consensual beatings. That's where both parties have agreed upon the paddlings that they're getting.
That was the first thought that popped into my head, oddly enough, when you talked about things that would bring harm to the LGBT community. Yeah. I was like, what, like a spiked strap-on?
I don't even...
Just the image went through my head, and I was like, Oh wait, no. He's talking about like government. Okay.
Yeah.
In my mind,
So we can
when you
keep
said
the suspension swing and all that. We're good.
a spiked
Hey.
strap on, I immediately went to the movie Seven, and I just remember,
Oh.
and I'm just like, you know what, Dolphin, you're a sick bastard. You know this.
Oh.
But
The best part about being a sick bastard is, no, I don't have time for this. Let's go on.
this is fair enough. But yeah, I think in the first few hours, in order to implicate the world laws that I would basically try to do, eliminating dictatorships, putting into place people in power that will actually bring democracy to these various different countries and things of that nature. I would have to go full tyrant for a few hours. I would have to go to extremes. And the reason why is because, again, human beings haven't gone beyond the need for a sort of religious order, some sort of, an ideology that they can get behind and things like that, because they need to feel like they belong to something. So, much like that, we would also need to put people in situations where they probably just witnessed something absolutely terrifying, absolutely horrifying, to some really horrible people, mind you. I'm not trying to hurt innocents in this. I'm just trying to eliminate and do extremes to the people that are actually in charge, the ones that have been actually pushing the innocent to be the ones that suffer all the fucking time and shit. So I would have to go extreme on a lot of things. I would have to go full tyrant, because you kind of need to bring that level of shock factor so the rest of the world sees it and suddenly starts paying attention. Or the people of that country will suddenly start paying attention, because when you do some shit like that, you have basically gained the attention of everyone who is within earshot or eyeshot of a fucking television, or even an actual eyewitness and things of that nature. So yeah, I would probably have to go full tyrant for a few hours, but I would probably pull back the reins on the tyranny, and just be like, and now we will implicate democracy. I have eliminated all the evils of the world, so to speak.
So like step 1 is gratuitously violent chapter. Chapter 2 is like, and now we bring the love.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't correct something in such a short amount of time by just simply negotiating with people. We've been negotiating with these people for fucking decades. I don't think it's working. You got to wait till somebody else is in charge and then maybe convince them. But the people who are in charge typically don't lose that power for a long time. So the waiting process is very long. But yeah, in such a short amount of time to make those kinds of changes. Chapter 1, gratuitous violence and brutality. Chapter 2. Chapter 3, profit. No, chapter 2 would obviously be peace.
Welcome to the party, Placeholder.
Yay!
Sorry, like
I had to cut my mic because I was laughing too hard at that last one. But yeah.
So I have a couple questions. If it's questions.
Thank you.
Sure.
So okay. I get the first thing you said. Why would you get rid of, like, over time? Yeah, people should be able to work as much as they want. I don't care who you are. If you want to work 90 hours a week like a maniac, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Do it. You're keeping the economy going. But then you said, like, eliminating minimum wage laws and labor laws.
Not all labor laws, just certain ones.
Right. I'm assuming that these labor laws, hopefully they don't involve things like safety.
No. The safety laws are 100% important. You need to follow the fucking labor laws that involve safety because they exist for a reason. Child labor laws. No children should be working. Let kids be kids, you fucking monsters.
You can keep the EEOC as well.
Yeah. But, you know, basically saying that anyone who works past a specific, because there are companies that will actually exploit the fuck out of this. I used to work for a company that if I worked extra hours past the my 8 hours of work and everything like that, on more than one occasion, my supervisor rewrote it to where I only worked those 8 hours, even though I worked 10, because I was, you know, doing a favor for the company. But that's not actually what the case was. The company was relatively, you know, small and new, and they really didn't like actually giving out extra pay for overtime. So before they actually put in the official rule for the company, where once it is the 8 hour mark, you clock the fuck out and you go the fuck home. No extra work. No matter what you're doing, you immediately drop everything and you go on, unless of course it's an emergency.
Right. No. I get that. That's not, you know, my thing was like, okay, I agree with you on overtime laws. I think they can be stupid. It should be an opt-in.
Mm-hmm.
It should be elective. But
yeah,
minimum wage laws. So
it's
people will pay what the market will support. But the market won't support things if pay doesn't go up at the same rate as inflation. We're already seeing that with the minimum wage as it currently is at $7.25. You cannot afford. Like, I'm left, by the way. Bernie Sanders' talking point that's actually true. I can't afford a one bedroom apartment on my own anywhere because I don't, like, I make above minimum wage, but my pay hasn't kept up with inflation with any job I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Inflation will persist regardless of what wage standards are. So if wage standards continue to stagnate under a minimum wage, imagine what they'll do without that.
Yeah. Imagine what will happen to companies that don't have employees because they don't have, one, a safety net, or two, reasonable pay for the work that they do.
Right. And that was the other one that I wanted to bring up. Thank you for bringing that up. Who determines what reasonable pay is, really?
That would be negotiated between the employer and the employee.
Yeah, my answer to that would probably be the employer or the employee or both.
Mm-hmm.
Can I point something out real quick for record's sake? Just 4% of 4% of all adults working jobs in the United States, up to 5.6%, are making minimum wage. The other 94 to 95% are making more than minimum wage. So the reason I'm bringing this up
is doesn't factor in low wage jobs.
Yeah, like,
well, low wage and minimum
people
wage
who are making less than $10 an hour are working a low wage job. $10 an hour is considered low wage because simply for the fact of inflation.
Oh, you don't have to tell me.
Bills, girls.
Like, it doesn't matter that only 5% of the population is making minimum wage. 5% of the adult population.
My point that I'm making is
that it doesn't factor everybody who's making below poverty.
What my point that I'm making, though, is that the minimum wage existing doesn't mean that employers I don't think they would try to skirt it if they got rid of minimum wage and they said, okay, you know, there's no more minimum wage. I don't think a lot of employers would drop below $7.25 an hour, and the ones who did, I think, would run out of employees really quickly and then wouldn't be able to operate their businesses. Because business owners looking for good employees offer competitive salaries.
Unless you're like a waiter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, I get that. I get the 213.
They subsist on tips because their employer won't pay them. There are people who make paychecks for 40 hours a week for $0.00. That is true. I know people who make wages like that, and they subsist off of tips from the generosity of the public. But here's the problem. It's an unsustainable business model because as soon as the clientele dries up, all their wait staff loses their support. which means that the business goes under because they weren't paying their employees properly. They couldn't have any kind of a backup plan. If you can't afford to pay your employees, you shouldn't be in business like Waffle House.
So that's what I'm saying, is it's that no minimum wage is a self-correcting problem.
Well, okay.
No, because if you go to a tip, you can go to a tip arrangement with any job.
Yes.
So you can have no wage, subsist only on tips, and fucking starve.
Okay. As somebody who has worked in that industry, when I was working in bills, my pay was $1.50 an hour. That's it.
Yep.
And I was working on tips. Being a bills girl, which how can I put this in a way that
it's like Hooters.
It's like Hooters.
It's like Hooters, except they serve drops off their tits.
Basically, yes.
I'm sure Brockus is excited about being king at this moment.
Yes, I actually am. That's it.
For the record,
the kind of business I would definitely get behind.
I heard him grunting in the corner. We're talking about hentai earlier, and now we're talking about tits, and I think we might be losing him.
Sorry,
I might have turned his mic off for a minute.
I may have to go to a special gentleman's type club later on tonight after this. I don't know.
But
my concern comes in with the economics of it. Like, yeah, I get that, like, Milton Friedman and Hayek would say that minimum wage is not good for the economy. Hayek would be more sympathetic than Friedman would, but don't get me wrong, he can be entertaining to watch. My concern comes in because you don't have anything keeping the employees taken care of in that kind of a situation. Like, I'm going to sound a little bit like a communist. Understand that I am not a communist.
Commie.
The nature of employment is the expectation of the work, simply because employees will earn as much as they can, right?
Mm-hmm.
But employers will pay as little as they must.
Yeah.
So if you have no laws protecting employee rights, you don't have any kind of a system wherein the employee has any way of dictating higher pay or negotiating higher pay even.
And that is absolutely true. But here's the thing. If a company is known to pay their employees shit wages, how long do you think that company is going to stay in business?
We have a company here in the Atlanta area, and it's actually all over the South, called Quick Trip.
Yep.
It's a gas station company, and it's probably the best gas station to go to. I've run on fumes for like 10 miles, passing 10 gas stations just to go to a Quick Trip.
I don't know. Buc-ee's are pretty cool.
We don't have those here.
But what I'm getting at, though, is like,
one of the things about hold on just a second. One of the things about Quick Trip that anybody who's ever talked to anyone who works there knows is it is also one of the best places in the whole country to work. It's been listed in the top 500 jobs like annually every single year, and the reason is because they pay their employees above minimum wage, but after the first year or so, the employees are making so much in monthly bonuses that their hourly rate is almost completely insignificant.
Right. It'd be really nice if there were more companies like that. But here's the problem, dude. Well, it came about that way because there were federal minimum standards set, including things like employee pay and benefits.
That's not how Quick Trip did it, though. The reason Quick Trip did it is because they wanted the best of the best employees. It's almost impossible to get a job at Quick Trip.
Okay, let's see here. How about the single mom who's working 3 jobs trying to keep their kids in clothing?
What are their 3 jobs?
They're going to work for whatever they can get.
That's true. That is absolutely true. And what if that
kind of taking whatever you can get is kind of what put them in that situation to begin with? It might be time to correct that behavior.
basically, if you eliminate the safety net, that is the minimum wage thing. Yes, there are going to be companies. I'm not even trying to hide this little factor. There are going to be companies like Walmart or Target that try to actually lower their employees' pay a great deal. But when every single employee walks out of the building saying, no, I'm not working on this pay, what's Walmart going to do? Go to people overseas? Well, maybe they'll try to do that, but with that kind of PR,
to run domestic stores,
to run those stores, those
to
stores,
run their domestic stores, they're going to go overseas.
Hang on, Dolphin, hang on. I understand what you're getting at. My concern is the ratio of quick trips to Walmarts.
Yeah.
You talk about the availability of the good quality jobs that require little to no training to the typical quality job, which requires little to no training. Corporations have absolutely no incentive other than to keep their bottom line in tow when it comes to employee benefits and pay. And the reason that you have the expectation that you have of employees is because of laws. Those laws that were set in place by people elected by workers. Everybody's a worker. And as soon as you turn 18, you're a worker.
Okay. What jobs do you think will stay in business if they lower their wages drastically?
They don't have to lower their wages. No, they don't have to raise them.
But that is the initial fear. They don't have to raise them. They don't have to lower them. Yes, but at the same time, if say a company that is brand new and flourishing because when they actually started off, they didn't have to pay their employees a specific wage or anything like that. They basically decided, you know what, we're going to pay you this amount of money for this kind of work. And they do that whole, the quick trip, the best of the best kind of stuff. And they get that kind of startup and they keep pushing forward with that sort of thing. And they get better benefits because the company just keeps growing and growing and growing.
Chick-fil-A is another excellent example, by the way.
Chick-fil-A is also,
and I don't know if you've ever noticed, they have the best employees in the world at Chick-fil-A. Those people will deal with you like insulting them and smile and be like, "Would you like a drink?"
Oh yeah, no, Whataburger people are amazing. Like that too. I love Whataburger because of that, but the outward appearance does not reflect the internal structure.
But again, if you eliminate a specific safety net of the internal structure and the company has free reign to do as they please, what would be more beneficial to that company? To actually be better to their employees? Because again, equal pay for equal work. If an employee just isn't fucking working, they're just not doing their job or anything, and we've eliminated the possibility of them like keeping their job simply because they have tenure or some shit like that, the company could easily fire them. It's not just minimum wage I'd be eliminating. It'd be a few other ridiculous practices that I find are actually ridiculous. But
right, so I agree with you on tenure. I think it's an absolutely terrible program. It's a terrible thing to have because it allows for fucking mediocre minds to take the place of decent ones.
Yeah, I want a company that has employees that are hungry all the time. Not literally, but you understand what I mean. They're hungry all the time. They want to give you their best. They always want to give you their absolute fucking best. And even if they give you just slightly less than their best, they will give you twice as better next time just because they want to make it up to you. Shit like that. I want those types of people in these different workplaces. I don't want Susan, who's been there for 20 fucking years because she bitched and complained and made sure that she could keep her fucking job and doesn't do anything except bitch and complain and makes it worse for the fucking employees, makes it worse for the goddamn coworkers and the fucking people that actually come to do business with them and shit. It is fucking annoying. Fuck you, Karen. It's always
my God. I hope Susan and Karen aren't listening right now.
Right. No, I get what you're saying. I get this is what you would want to happen. And this is the implicit understanding that this is for one day.
Yeah.
So how are you going to force the majority of the population to run all the way to the end of the Pareto distribution?
Well, basically, you have to just kind of go on faith at this point. You basically just you lay down the brick for everyone to either accept the road that is less traveled, or basically say fuck it and keep going down the same complacent, mediocre, nowhere fucking road that they've been going down the entire time. Just keep making circles, keep making circles. Meanwhile, the road I'm trying to pave has almost endless possibilities.
Yeah, besides, you missed it earlier when he pointed out how many bones he would pave that road with. So, just for the record, there is that whole blood and carnage introduction.
Oh, right. No, I was listening on my way home from work. It's like a 20, 30-minute walk for me.
I mean, like, if you need to influence people to get in line, I think we might have covered that.
So, are you familiar with what I mean by Pareto distribution in terms of economics? You know what the Pareto distribution is?
I'm not going to try to pretend like I know economics that well. I really don't. I just, in my opinion, I think if we eliminate the minimum wage, the safety net, and all that stuff, it will course correct. It will be shitty at times for a lot of fucking people. I'm not going to hide that factor. It is probably going to be terrible at first, but once the company realizes how much they fucked up by doing the really fucked up things that they've done, they will course correct. Companies will start,
or they'll go under,
or they will start
overseas
and be replaced by better companies.
They can go overseas all they want, but again, if you've basically eliminated certain safety nets, if you give people a better understanding of I'm worth more, things of that nature, they could easily just stop doing work with that company altogether. They could stop doing business with that company altogether. What happens to a company when no one wants to work with them or for them? They go away entirely.
Right, I understand that, but okay. So here's why I brought up Pareto distribution. Okay. Lay the entire human population out on a spectrum going from left to right and put a line over it. You put that line on it, what it does is it controls for productivity. And you'll see that 50% of all products made, period, 50% of all work done is done by the top 10%. They do the majority of the work. You have 90% of the human population that are essentially being excluded because you work harder. Some of them can't. Some of them have a personality deficit that doesn't allow them to. There's that's my biggest issue with eliminating specific worker protections.
How does taking away minimum wage harm people with a physical disability?
Because they'll be exploited, because they will take anything that they get. Hungry people are desperate for work. They'll take whatever they can get, which is why my concern with eliminating the minimum wage will allow for that exploitation to occur. If you look at how it was before the minimum wage, during the Industrial Revolution, when workers were afraid to not show up to work because if they were sick, they'd lose their job, or if they got hurt, they'd lose their job.
I'm not talking about eliminating those specific laws.
Right. Those are good to have, but so is the minimum wage.
No, minimum wage is terrible. It's a horrible safety net that doesn't actually allow growth.
For the record, minimum wage laws first came into effect in 1938.
Yeah, it was part of the first New Deal.
No, that would...
no, that was Calvin... No. It was...
it was FDR,
Hoover.
But it wasn't part of the new... No, it was Hoover. You're right. It was Hoover. But that would... Yeah. And it also...
No, it was FDR, because FDR got elected in 36 and served 3 terms. 3 terms? 4 terms?
3.25.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're still conflating the minimum wage with other labor laws.
Well, no, minimum wage is a worker protection.
Yeah, it's a worker protection, of course, but
you had people who would work for the minimum for as much as they could get, which is as little as the employer would pay.
And you
would have people who would wind up standing in bread lines because, sorry, there's no work for people who are asking for as much as you. So ask lower. So until they're asking for next to nothing.
How exactly how exactly does minimum wage involve that?
Because it forces the employer to pay what is considered at the time, because it was tied to inflation until Reagan took over in the 80s. It was tied to inflation, so you would have a base minimum level of income for everybody. So, and this was essentially, in my opinion, a good, successful example of what could be considered minimum, like a basic income, but it stagnated and inflation continued when Reagan disentangled the two. And you see the catastrophe that happened in the ensuing decades. You had the dot-com crash in the 90s, then you had the housing crash and insurance crisis in the mid 2000s and early teens.
Those last two were people cheating the system. I'm going to.
Oh no, absolutely. But the whole thing is held together because everybody's essentially agreed that this is the minimum amount of money that everybody ought to make in some way.
Yeah,
but you have people who are not going to pay attention to that, and you wind up getting essentially tycoons who make as much money as they can and pay nothing to their employees. We saw this in the oil industry. We saw this in the whaling industry. We saw this in farming. We saw this in really every part of agriculture, not just specifically farming. Employees being paid next to nothing. So they couldn't spend their money. So they couldn't feed it back into the system. So the system choked. Mm-hmm. That's what caused the Depression.
Yeah. You know, Brockus, you could legalize lynching for unions.
I probably would actually.
Yeah, like if the union all vote and they have like a super majority that say yes, then the bosses get lynched.
That actually was another thing where basically if
I wrote that exactly down just as you said it.
I wouldn't exactly say a direct actual lynching or anything like that, but a removal from power, a removal from seat, things of that nature. Yeah, I actually I have no issues with something like that. But let me just go ahead and go a little bit into the minimum wage thing. So $7.50, let's say $7.50 an hour is the minimum wage. And somebody works at, say, a convenience store, which is paying them $7.50 an hour, and they're working roughly 40 hours a week and things of that nature. Okay, a year comes around and they're supposed to get, based off of the minimum wage and everything like that, some kind of a raise, correct?
Well, no, it's tied to inflation. So it would be agreed upon internally how often they would give a raise, but they would be compelled by the government to give a raise to keep the wages up with inflation, so that they can like have a place to live and clothes to wear and food to eat and a car to drive to get to work.
I understand that, but that's a bit confusing since you told us that Reagan severed the tie with inflation and minimum wage.
He did. And then you had a whole bunch of catastrophes happen.
So he re-tied the inflation and minimum wage?
No. Okay. Minimum wage used to keep up with inflation.
Used to.
Until Reagan came along and undid that. Yeah. So as soon as he undid that, wages stagnated. Yeah. When wages stagnate, workers don't have money to spend. So you can't put it back into the economy, because every time you spend $1, that dollar gets spent 5 more times after you. It's called the multiplier effect. Mm-hmm. $1 of cash generates $5 of wealth through economic interactivity. I'm sorry that this is jargon heavy, but it wouldn't work, because it would completely disincentivize employers to raise wages.
So basically, what Reagan did in the 1980s
was bad.
Was essentially cut ties with something that was actually working, as you're saying, and basically it fucked up the system so much that when it kind of corrected itself, let's say 4 or 8 years, something like that, and it kind of corrected itself, because now you're saying that inflation and minimum wage are tied to each other once again.
No, they're not. That's not what I said.
And how is it connected?
Okay. Right. Let's say $1 equals $1.
How to explain this in layman's term, because not only am I basically a layman, but most of the audience is probably going to be a layman at this point. If you're gonna try to, explain this, you gotta explain it in layman's terms. You can't use too many jargons because people are just going to sit there and be like, I have no idea what the fuck he's saying, but I guess it sounds cool.
I'm trying. I was actually about to start explaining what I'm talking about with inflation. So $1 in cash equals $1 in gold, right?
Ooh.
I thought we did away with it a long time ago.
Well, no, we're using that as an example of currencies. $1 in cash equals $1 in gold. We did, and Nixon was a moron for doing it.
Okay.
Well, what's $1 in gold? Is that 1 ounce? Or are we setting a hypothetical here?
We're just sure. $1 of gold equals an ounce. $1 of cash equals an ounce of gold. As you get more dollars, the value of the dollar goes down because there's more of it.
Oh, I've got a great example for this. I know where you're going, Placeholder. Let me throw out the example. This actually works pretty well with silver because we were pegged to silver all the way till 1963 in our coinage. And if you look at the cost, if you pull up any advertisement from 1950, 1963, 1945, those, just pick 3 dates in that like 30-year period and look at the price of a can of tuna. It'll be approximately a dime in all 30 of those years. That dime was made out of silver. If you have a dime from pre-1963 today, it's worth about $1.59. The price of a can of tuna today is about $1.59. The dime itself has lost zero value. It has the exact same value it had. You can still trade that dime for that can of tuna. But the price of the dollar, which it's pegged to, has changed. It's gone down, so now it takes more dollars to purchase that can of tuna or to purchase that dime. It now costs $1.59 to buy a dime.
Basically, money is fluid in its value. There's no set fixed value for any paper currency. It's called fiat currency. What that means, it's worth $1 because I say so, right? So that dollar that I'm telling you is worth $1 might actually only be worth 83 cents.
It's worth about
inflation. The value of the dollar goes down, making the cost of goods go up.
No, yeah,
so with wages stagnating, inflation continues to rise. Which
I think just about anyone who's socialist, communist, or even anarchistic, pretty much, or hell, even capitalist, pretty much understands that concept of money has value because I say so.
Right. That's why barter systems work better than
currency has value
on a smaller scale. There's no barter isn't scalable, so we made money. That's basically what we're using it as a stand-in for.
All right. Well, now that we've had our education on money, and we should do that at some point. We should talk about silver and gold and how they've been affected by money on a later stream.
That would actually be an interesting stream. I would definitely want to watch that.
Yeah. By the way, all of our streams are open door, except for the King for a Day. We give that over to our sovereign for the evening. So if you ever hear a stream and you want to jump in, just let us know in the side chat, and we'll send you a link.
Cool.
As long as you behave yourself well, you're more than welcome to join in our conversations.
No, I'm gonna start a fight with Pathfinder every time.
It's actually placeholder.
A placeholder, whatever.
That's all right. That's all right. Pathholder works as a great placeholder for placeholder. Anyway, I was really glad to have you on the stream tonight as our sovereign, Brockus. It was interesting hearing your hyper libertarian extreme violence followed by extreme love theories.
I'm a very confusing human being. I'm the type of person that will threaten to pummel you into the ground, and probably will, but at the same time, I will take you out for ice cream after I just beat your ass. I am a lover and a fighter. It is fucking weird. I'm a walking contradiction, is what I like to say about myself.
And I got no rights.
If you are or were married, your wife's most common phrase would be, "But he loves me."
No. Our most common phrase would be, "God fucking damn it." Because I'm also immature in a lot of ways. So she'd be very upset with me with how many times I pull a prank on her or something.
God. He's not as funny as he thinks he is.
Yeah, that would be your catchphrase. He's not
Yeah.
as funny as he thinks he is. And then I would just pop in, I'm hilarious. Don't you lie.
All right. Well, ladies, you know what to do if you want this man. That brings our stream. That brings our stream to an end tonight. Thank you all for joining us. And Brockus, you're welcome back anytime. Feel free to hop in the chat. Let us know that you're there, and we'll send you a link. You've been a great king, and unfortunately, at the end of the night, we have to behead our king. So,
well,
line it up. Let us know where we can find you, and send flowers.
You could send flowers to a lot of different places. My Twitter handle is @orc_fugitive. My channel is Brockus. It's just simply Brockus. There are 2 Brockus channels that actually will pop up when you search it. Ignore the one with the gamer image. That was my old channel that was stolen from me last year. Still hasn't been returned to me. Thank you, YouTube, you piece of shit. And then, of course, you can see me on the Snatchcast on Saturdays, Sundays, and Tuesday nights with Schmeckel and Samaj on Han Solo, or just a regular cum stream on Saturdays. And then I do CNN over on Snatchcast, as Dolphin should know.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be joining you, I think, on next Han Solo.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. Anyway, thank you all for joining us. We're here every single Wednesday night at 11 p.m. here on the Academy Brain Trust, and we'll see you back next week. Peace.